Today it's time for a professional match of StarCraft 2, and what I've got for you today is a game on Port Alexander. Spawning here in the northwest corner, I'm playing with the pink Protoss probes. He's from South Korea, and he goes by the name of Zest. His opponent in the opposite corner, playing with the red Protoss probes, also from South Korea, we have none other than Trap. Alrighty, so of course both of these players are household names when it comes to playing with the Protoss pieces. On Oligalek, we have Trap right here, who's the current rank 8 Protoss player on the planet, and Zest is considered to be the current rank 3. Pretty awesome though. I've been extremely impressed with Trap, especially over like the last year or so. This man seems to be getting better all the time. I mean, Zest obviously, he's been around for many years and we know that he's very good. And while Trap has been playing for a long while as well, ever since he joined Jin Air Green Wings a couple of years ago, he has been steadily improving. So I believe Jin Air is one of the last teams over in South Korea where the players do still live together and practice together. So just to give you an idea, right, of who is living there in that team house. First off, we have Maru. He just won 4 GSL Code S's in a row. That's literally a year and like 3 months worth of GSL tournaments. The highest level tournament in StarCraft. Pretty ridiculous, outside of maybe BlizzCon, but there's no denying that Maru is considered to be one of the strongest players on the planet. Then we have Rogue, the world champion of StarCraft in 2017. SOS, 2 times world champion of StarCraft 2. We have Trap, Cure, and Creator. And I guess if you live together, right, with some of the greatest in SC2, you are very, very quickly going to become one of the best yourself as well. At the very least, as long as you live and breathe StarCraft, I suppose, right? It's gonna take a lot of work and it's gonna take a lot of practice. But if everyone around you is practicing hard as well, I'm sure it will give you some motivation to put in some extra effort as well. I wonder what it takes to join a team like that. I have no idea. I guess it's an invitation-only thing, right? I'm sure a lot of people would love to join. Anyways, Trap, what are you doing right here? Trap is putting a pylon up in the middle of the map. Now, this is actually kind of a curious position. A lot of Protoss players have gotten very good at scouting out the different kinds of proxy locations in PvP. We'll have to see if Zest decides to do some scouting here in a little bit. Usually, though, players will check like the outer edges, right? They will check like these corners over here and maybe this location over here. Maybe hiding in plain sight with a Stargate literally right outside of the natural is not so bad of an idea. We'll see right here what Zest decides to do. I love this as well. Trap showing the probe. He's definitely not gonna lead him towards that Stargate. Not a chance. Alright, there we go. He's gonna indeed just send it towards the bottom left-hand corner to try and hide that Stargate for a little bit longer. This is such a cheeky play though, right? I mean, putting your structures down in the most obvious locations sometimes works way better than you would actually anticipate, because it's one of those locations where your opponent is likely to not scout. Hallucinated Phoenix right now for Zest as well, scouting the right-hand side, while the Stalker is checking out every location on the left-hand side. Couple of Adepts, though, did shade forward right there. They did see that a Nexus was not planted down just yet. I do hope, by the way, that this is not blocking a Nexus. I always get a little bit anxious when I see that. I think it's just barely gonna be out of range, but I love this, right? Just hiding in plain sight in the middle of the map, not really giving your opponent any kind of info, although this Phoenix right now, the Hallucinated Phoenix, does confirm that there's nothing too exciting happening. We do see a Stargate right here for Zest as well, who's actually rallying that very first Phoenix towards the mineral line. Trap now forced to go after one of those sentries. That's not really the damage you're looking for. Getting 1 probe kill right there as well. 2nd probe kill, 3rd probe kill, maybe a 4th. No. Just 3 probe kills right there and a sentry. I guess that's still decent value, considering he's hiding in plain sight right there with the Stargate, but you're not going to be able to really continue production out of that Stargate, and the question is that really going to be enough value? Let's have a look. Units lost twice. Yes, we did see that the pink Protoss here lost more. But you gotta take into account right here the cost of the pylon and the Stargate as well. So I think in the grand scheme of things, Zest is in a pretty good spot, because right now he didn't just go ahead and not take a lot of damage. He didn't just get rid of that Oracle as well, but he also made it so that his opponent is not gonna be able to get that much more work done as far as the tech goes, right? He's gonna have to go ahead and plant down some sort of tech at home again as well. So apparently for Trap, that is gonna be a forge for now. I would assume it's going to be a Twilight Council or maybe like a robotic facility here in just a little bit. The Adepts, though, trying to make their way towards the natural. Looks like they ended up getting another probe kill right there as well. Not bad whatsoever, but I think for now, this will shut down most of the aggression that our red Protoss player can go for. Couple more adepts though, continuously trying to check out if maybe there are any hidden stalkers or any other hidden units trying to get any kind of value. Maybe there's like a probe trying to get cheeky. No proxy gateways here, so that does indicate that Zest, at the very least, is not planning on getting too aggressive. Now, this is nice. I love Phoenix play in general. I think Phoenix play is really strong. They're actually surprisingly beefy units as well. Oftentimes, you can get a lot of damage done. Because look, even though there's a bunch of stalkers chasing them down, none of these will be taking lethal damage. And right now, there's also that one stalker going to town on the other side of the map. So lovely opener right here for Zest, putting himself in a decent position considering the early part of the game. Couple of adepts though, once again, made their way all the way across the map, and there's really not that much available right now for the pink Protoss player to defend. There's 2 stalkers inside of the main base, but obviously 2 adepts can one-shot these probes really nicely, and this is even gonna force a recall right now on those Phoenixes to, I guess, get rid of these adepts. Once again, a couple of probes end up going down, and in the grand scheme of things, even though it looked like Trap wasn't going to be able to get too much done here, he still ended up killing 8 of those probes of his opponent, which is more damage than he took himself so far. Alrighty, so it's going to be both a Twilight and a robotics facility. So he's going to follow it up with a more standard unit composition, going for a couple of additional gateways right now as well as Trap. He's likely planning on doing maybe some pressure once he gets a solid enough army here together. And now with this amount of units, right, and a couple of these shield batteries set up as well, I don't think we will really see too much damage coming out of Zest right here either anymore. I mean, it would be very surprised if he decides to commit right here. I mean, wow, he does commit? Really? What's that gonna do? I guess it's gonna try and pull some of these stalkers away, but of course Trap is way too good for that. He's not just simply gonna fall. But eventually, though, Zest does end up killing the pylon there that Trap was using to kill or using to power that Stargate. And eventually, the Stargate should be picked off here as well. Now, the thing about Phoenixes, right, is that if you keep them alive, and even though it's only 4 of them right now, which is really not that much, but if you keep them alive, you can use them in the big battles later on to pick up those high-value targets. So, since we do see that robotics facility, right? Imagine if Trap decides to chrono boost out a couple of Immortals and then go for a push. The Immortals are by far the hardest hitting units right here for Protoss, at least in this matchup in the early game. They're extremely good. Keeping just a couple of those Phoenixes alive is really nice because you can use them to take those high value targets out of the equation. And that's one of the reasons why I love those Phoenix openers. Now that, by the way, is a lot of gateways. Trap ended up seeing every single one of them as well. That's 6 additional gateways right now coming up for Trap, bringing us up to a grand total of 8. He could still actually use this to go ahead and build up towards that standard 3 base as well. But generally speaking, we don't really see players adding on 8 gateways and then be super passive with it. I mean, he could, but it's still one of those things where you don't really want to take too much time to just simply have a bunch of gateways on idle, right? It's kind of a waste of resources. We'll see though. Maybe Zest is feeling just a little bit too cautious right now. He's had himself a nice little advantage here for a little bit, but he hasn't been able to really get a massive advantage here either. I love that. Couple of High Templars before morphing them into Archons. I think they're looking for the feedback. There you go. Beautiful move there. Love that. You can reduce the energy right there in those Phoenixes and then effectively take them out just like that. And if you plan on morphing those Archons in anyway, you may as well go ahead and use some of that energy before it goes to waste. Alright, so both players going for a very similar unit composition. Once again, a couple of adepts trying to get some value in. Trap not doing so right there, or at the very least not committing there, but he does end up scouting out once again what's going on. And this is just a bit of a nuisance. It's once again forcing those Phoenixes to go all the way back home. I still love the fact though, he decided to put the Stargate in the center of the map. It's one of the most obvious locations, but nobody checks the center of the map. This is one of those meta games that we see quite a bit in PvP. Anyway, I think we are leading up though to what should be a pretty aggressive push. Zest is still sitting on only 2 bases. And while we do have 3 base economy right now for Trap, as you can see, you really only move the excess amount of probes right here inside of the main base over towards the 3rd, We don't see that happening right here for Zest, so I'm assuming he's likely gonna go for a bit of a push here in just a bit. He's been warping in a ton of units, and now with the addition right here of the Warp Prism, I do think he wants to go for a move out in just a little bit. Well, I say that, maybe it's actually gonna be Trap who's the one that wants to move across. Maybe he's anticipating right now that Zest wants to pick up a quick third Nexus. If a third Nexus goes down right now, he should be able to shut that down as well. But this is a bit of an aggressive push. The supply count is pretty much dead even. There's still a couple of those Phoenixes up in the air. If they can take these Immortals out of the equation, that would be really nice. Trap, though, trying to figure out if maybe a Nexus is taken. It's not the case this time around. So you don't really need to fight here either, right? If you know that you got 3 bases up, there's absolutely zero reason to fight. Although, yeah, Zest realizes it's going to be difficult to take a new expansion. He decides to hide a Nexus in the top right-hand corner of the map. Phoenixes, though, given a little bit of a wiggle room, they immediately decide to once again move across the map to see if there's any kind of scouting information that they can go ahead and gather. Obviously, with only 2 of them, it's difficult to get some kills because of that shield battery. But at this point, Trap does not... Oh, he actually does know. Wow. I was gonna say, he doesn't know about the base in the top right-hand corner. He does. He just figured it out, I guess, with the hallucinated Phoenix. A Zealot making its way over there as well. This should figure out that indeed this base is gonna be cancelled. And with that, I think Trap finds himself in a really beautiful position. Here's the thing. He's been heavily outmining his opponent for several minutes right now. Zest did have a bit of a timing, but I feel like he kind of missed the opportunity. Right? He could go ahead and build a Nexus over here right now, and that's what he does, but this is playing on the back foot right now, and I think that Trap is looking at utilizing this economic advantage that he created for himself by pushing forward right here, right now. Here we go. We see a lot of Zealots, we see a lot of Archons, a bunch of Immortals on either end as well. Of course, those Guardian Shields are very, very nice, and of course, having those Warp Prisms in the middle of this engagement is a big deal as well, because that way you can go ahead and pick up a lot of those weakened units as well. The Zealots, though, on the right-hand side are just simply plowing through a lot of those units, and while we simply do have a lot of high-value targets left over here for Zest, I think in this case, it is just simply a numbers game. The amount of army supply right there was heavily in favor of Trap, and that means that our red Protoss player from South Korea is the one who obtains the victory. So I guess StarCraft 2 sometimes is just simply a numbers game. I love the fact, though, that he decided to put that Stargate. I know I brought it up like 3 times already, but I love the fact that he decided to put the Stargate right in the center of the map. And while we did see Zest scouting the left-hand side, scouting the right-hand side, checking for the center location is not very common because that's not usually where those proxies go down. But I guess it worked out in the favor of Trap this time around. Even though he didn't end up dealing a lot of damage there, he just simply was in a really good position. And those Adepts as the follow-up, they ended up killing, I think, a grand total of like 9 probes there. And it just simply was a little bit too much there for Zest to claw himself back into the game. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. Special shout out to the Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day, okay? Do not forget to smile, and I will see you once again in the next one.